Here's number 7 of our series of energy markets talks. Justin Colley, European electricity expert at Argus Media, is joining us for this one. Thanks for joining, Justin. How are you doing?
Thanks, Patrick. Very good to see you. I'm doing very well, thanks. Still working from home, have been for a few months. But yeah, things are generally seeming quite positive at the moment, and all well over there as well.
All well here, thanks. Yeah. So, Justin, we live in strange times. What's your general analysis of the last 2 months?
You're right. It has been very strange times, and every week over the last few months, there's been new records that have been broken across the power markets throughout Europe. It's been well publicized generally what happened. Demand fell around March because of the lockdowns. Industrial activity slowed down. So power prices, fuels prices, CO2 prices all fell sharply. Demand was dropping by up to 20% in some countries. So yeah, that was kind of to be expected fairly early on. A few interesting things that came around were the TSOs were obviously not quite expecting the drop as quickly as possible, because we noticed quite a few differences between TSO day-ahead demand forecasts and the actual outturn. People have been saying that this is sort of a glimpse of a future power market scenario where you've got loads of renewables. You know, it's come sort of in what we're experiencing is pretty much an early summer now. Not much coal, and you're really seeing gas being used to balance the system. So yeah, that's kind of been the picture generally across Europe. In terms of a few of the records that we've seen, just start here in the UK, we've had no coal generation since the start of April, pretty much. We've had negative prices for the first time last weekend, Saturday, cleared on the exchange in negative territory. We've even got to the point now where we're having to pay a nuclear plant not to run because the demand is too low and there's too much renewables in the system. Just sticking sort of around this part of the continent, CWE, Germany, they're quite used to negative prices anyway because they have quite a high wind, so you get, particularly on public holidays, it's quite normal to see negative prices, but these have been happening a lot more frequently. The couple of markets, Belgium, Netherlands, and France also moved to negative territory for the first time in April. French peak load prices went negative, and we're generally seeing a lot of peak load prices below base because this is a time when you have the higher renewables and demand is just not turning out like it used to because industry is not running in the same way. Portugal, we had no coal generation for all of April, which has never happened for a full month before. We've seen Italian and Hungarian prices delivering at record lows in May, negative prices in Hungary. Greece, which is something hard to even imagine a couple of years ago, has had days of no lignite generation. Of course, it's well known they have quite a lot of renewables there, quite a bit of solar and wind, but they have low gas prices, which is making gas-fired plants much more competitive. Yep. So we saw lignite turning out at about 6% of generation over the last couple of months. So yeah, really a massive change in the market structure.
Yeah, indeed. And so, and this is also impacting energy projects across Europe. According to you, what's for you? What are the most important projects that are impacted?
So yeah, absolutely, lots of projects and different elements of the market too. So there are power plant projects, interconnector projects, also operational delays, simply because a lot of people were sent to work from home in March, and a lot of companies are not really set up to do that, so it takes a little bit of time to adjust. And in these times, you sometimes just have to focus on your core business a little bit more, and so naturally, new projects get pushed down the line a bit. We'll just go through a few examples. Interconnectors, there's quite a few of those that have been pushed back. Italy, France, the Chiosasco Grandile, if my very bad Italian pronunciation serves me well enough, was supposed to be coming online towards the end of the year. It's between Italy and France, but it's looking more likely that'll be the start of next year now. Kriegers Flak between Denmark and Germany has been pushed back a few months, so that's going to start trials and probably start operation around the end of August now. EFA 2, so that's between France and the UK. Yeah. They've pushed back the start of that. They were supposed to have auctions in July for August capacity, but at the end of last week, that got pushed back to September. So provisionally, it will be September auctions for October capacity. One of the interesting ones, which I think is not necessarily due to COVID especially, but Kosovo, Albania has a new cable. Well, it's been built since about 2014, but never operational because cost and EMS needed to resolve a few issues, but they pretty much have done that now. And so it's interesting to see that the Albanian TSO is just holding cross-border capacity auctions for monthly capacity just for half of the month, each month over the last couple of months, because they're expecting that to start up any time. And that's quite a big project. So it's sort of 400 kilovolt cable, which, you know, in the times of tight supply, that's going to have a big impact on the market dynamics throughout the Balkans.
Yeah, yeah. You already mentioned the massive price drops all across the continent, basically. How are utilities reacting to these price drops?
Well, it's an interesting one. I mean, the price drops were quite sharp and fast, and demand is starting to recover a little bit now. So we are seeing some prices move up slightly, but in the short term, you know, we still have a lot of renewables, and gas prices are incredibly low. So markets like Italy and Greece, which are usually premiums to the region, are at discounts. One of the hot topics that usually comes up in winter is French nuclear schedules. And for several reasons, a lot to do with mobilization of staff, EDF has had to radically change its nuclear maintenance schedules, and this has been pushed back to later in the year. So Q4 France is 20 euros or so higher than the neighboring markets. And people tend to get a little bit spooked by France in the winter because there's quite high reliance on electricity for heating demand there. And so the prices just have to rise significantly above the region. One other thing that I would mention about how utilities are reacting, and this chat kind of comes at an appropriate time because it's just after the time when a lot of utilities have published their Q1 financial data. And I won't name any utility names, but you can certainly see by looking at their hedging data and their financials for the first quarter, which utilities saw this coming and reacted quickly, and which ones saw it happening and have just put their hedging strategies on hold. So some companies sold a lot more year ahead power forward before the prices started to drop. And a lot of people that didn't do that saw the prices start dropping and have just put on hold their hedging strategies in the hope that there might be some price recovery in the short term.
Yeah, yeah. Well, interesting times, and well, for the coming month, I think it's still very interesting to see what's going to happen. You keep monitoring the markets. Thanks for sharing these insights with us, Justin, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me here, Patrick, and fingers crossed that ETCSEE manages to go ahead in November. And yeah, it'd be great to catch up with you and all the other people in the market around November in Prague. So let's hope that happens.
Thank you.